folks, this has been a long overdue video. Now I've saved this footage from my other computer, my smartphone, and I'm just gonna show it on this phone because this is the phone that I can access on my YouTube account. So this is the article. Of course, you guys know with the land tax has introduced, I think on the 23rd or 24th of May with the Victorian budget, and it's mentioned about the area. On my old previous videos, I mentioned about the 0.1%. And yesterday I had a word with one of the co-workers regards to this topic. Now when we talk about this topic, I talk about it's 10%. And he's coming back and fight against me and show me evidence. Now I don't know how much is the true news, or I hope this is I hope I'm wrong, all right. The true news about the Age newspaper, all right. So hold on, let me just zoom in. Let's go from here. So as you know, if your house worth more than 300k, you have to cap. No, if your house is under 300k, then the maximum you pay is $975 per year. And if it's over 300,000, then you calculate what's like for example on here is $500,000 if your land value. Then you have to calculate 200,000. 200,000, 0.1% is $200. So this doesn't make sense to me, because then you look at it here, the total is $1,175. Now $1,775, the government is saying that the COVID debt levy is like, I think it's 100. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys can correct me, but it's 100. I believe it's $135 billion. So what is this extra $200 for $500 property? Okay, we go $600,000 land worth $300. So $1,275. There you got 700. 400,000. It's just adding an extra hundreds. Now, as you see, previous one. I'm just gonna base the scale, the conversation that we have here right now, that is basically extra $500. So the land tax still can get the $975. So let's just say the land value, I'll have to say 800,000 in today's Melbourne world. I cannot speak, maybe 900, but let's just say 1,475, all right? Because when you look at 0.1%, right? 0.1%, if you convert it, it's supposed to be 10%. I don't understand why, but if, for example, let's just say in 10 years we have to pay, you have to pay 10% every year. So 1 year, 1% every year, so 10%. So 10%, let's just say 1,475. How much is 10%? No, actually, I don't want to talk about it. Okay. So you have to pay 14. Let's say 15,000. Sounds easier for me. $15,000, all right? $15,000, all right? So let's just say 15, all right? So I don't know. So Melbourne is around 4 million population. I don't know how many total houses, and you have got to include investors, right? I will say, right? What was the history again? Jesus, I lost. What is it? What was it called again? 15,000. Okay. Investors. Okay, if there's 4,000, let's just say, what is a good figure? All right, if everyone owns a house, that's one house, and you have a second or third house. So people may own second or third. Not everyone owns a house. So let's just say it's like 2 million. Is that a right figure for everyone to agree with me, or 2.5 million? I'll say 2.5 million. Okay, let's just say 2.5 million houses out there, right? So, all right, 2.5 million times by, let's just say, what was it? Is it? What's the figure? So basically, in 10 years' time, they only accumulate 36 million. Alright, I should say 37 million. What is it? Wait, hold on. How come my eyes are not working? 37 billion. Alright, 37 billion. That is not enough to counter because on the news they bombard a lot crazier for house investors when it comes to the COVID debt levy. Now the COVID debt levy also mentioned about they're going to cancel some of the big projects as well, and as well put 1% or 0.5%, I think 0.5% on increase the tax brackets for all the workers out there. So those who are under $10 million profit in a year, and 1% over increase with the income for $100 million per year. So if that being said, if I have one extra 1% on my, really I don't accumulate much, let's just say 1% of my, what is the average income nowadays? 80, okay, so let's just say 10 divided by 100, let's say 80k, so 8,000. So if it's, was it 10%? No, that's wrong. So sorry, I can't do that. I really can't do that because that's 10%. So that's $800. If I earn $80,000 and I increase 1%, that's $800 each of the workers. Or is it on the company? If a company earns, okay, let's just say 100 million. That's 1 million. Fair enough, 1 million. But how many companies out there is earning 100 million nowadays? So let's just say 1 million. Is it fair enough to say 2,000 companies or 5,000 companies? 5 billion. Okay, so we've calculated. So it's actually less than 40 billion. Okay, so you got oh, Jesus, I lost count. Okay, 1 million. So times by 10 years, that's 10 million. 10 million times 2,000 companies, 20 billion. So pretty much they only generate, that's 10 years that I mentioned, that's pretty much I generate, how much was it? So it was 33 billion, so it's 53 billion, right, just for housing. This is, yep, so that's the figure, 53 billion. What about the remainder 100 billion? Like I don't understand this whole process. So that's why I said for me to make this video, it doesn't make sense, because if the government is saying 0.1, it should be like 10%, it would have made more sense, right? But I know that would have killed all the investors. Let's just say, right, times by, let's, well, how much would I say? If it's, let's just say 800,000, then you minus 300,000 because you've got $950 tax. Let's say 500,000. So 50,000 per year. 50,000 per year times 10 years, 500,000. 500,000 times 2.5 million, the houses. So there you go. I already got, well, how many? It just doesn't sound right. The way how I calculate the whole thing. This is what is this, trillion? Yeah, it's a 1.2 trillion. But for the billions, that 150 billion, I don't think it's add up the whole thing. I don't know. There's probably should be other hidden taxes to think about it. But that's the reason why I didn't want to make this video, to give false information, because I saw that article that my mate just showed me, that it's only extra like 500 or 900 or 800 per year. So obviously, yeah, you pay $2,000 or 1.5 or 1,000 or, you know, or below 3,000 a year. I know it's a lot of money for many people, but it is what it is when you have investment property. I'm not saying good or bad, because that's what the risk that you're going to take. But it just doesn't add up, and that's why I'm glad I didn't make that video. I hope I'm wrong for the 10%, but the 0.1%, just 1% for the property, it just doesn't add up. I've already calculated 33 billion. 33 billion, then you add on the company 20 billion, it doesn't add up 50. So there should be a lot more. That's our calculated as just for 10 years, right? So that's just a rough estimate what it looks like just for Victoria. I don't speak on any other companies. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the company part was a lot more than 100 billion. A lot of them more than 2,000. Okay, so maybe let's just bump it up. 10,000 companies. $10,000 company divided times by 1 million. That's the minimum. They got 10 billion. Maybe it adds up. 10 billion. 10 billion. Sorry, 10 million. Then you times it by 10 years. 100 million? I don't know, I'm lost track. Maybe 100 mil? 100 million? But you guys can't understand what I'm saying. Or it may add up at 100 billion. Yeah, 100 billion. Because I'm just in a shopping mall. My mind's not straight at the moment. But it adds up more when you have like that. That's why I'm glad I was wanting to release 4 part on that video. But it looks like I can be wrong. So yeah, I hope I'm wrong.